Okay, so let's unpack this interesting piece of early church history today.
Sounds good. We're looking at Paul and the Philippians.
Exactly. We're diving into this YouTube transcript called "The Faith of the Philippian Church Members Who Made Paul Paul-like."
Intriguing title.
Right. And our mission really is to understand how this community's faith, their support, it wasn't just receiving from Paul.
No, it's suggesting they actively helped shape him.
Yeah, contributed to who he became.
Yeah.
And what that, reciprocal strength means for communities even now.
It's fascinating because usually the focus is all on Paul, the minister to the church.
Sure.
But this flips it, doesn't it? It looks at how this specific group, the believers in Philippi, actually empowered the minister.
Empowered him, yeah. It's a powerful idea. The church wasn't just passive.
Not just receiving, they were actively building up their leader.
So the source, it takes us back to Paul's journey there, Philippi. First place he preaches in Europe, maybe around 50, 52 AD.
Yeah, somewhere around then. And the context is important. Philippi was a Roman colony.
A Roman colony, right, a strategic city, established way before Paul got there.
And that Roman identity mattered. Roman citizenship was a big deal there.
Okay.
The source points out Paul had it by birth, unlike maybe, say, a military tribune who might have had to buy it.
Ah, interesting detail.
And Paul actually uses that later, doesn't he? Talking about heavenly citizenship with these same believers. It connects.
It really does. But what's striking, despite being this Roman outpost, the source notes there wasn't really a welcoming vibe for Jews.
No, apparently not much openness. So no synagogue for Paul to start in.
Which was his usual approach, right?
Exactly. So instead he looks for a place of prayer near a river.
And that's where the story really kicks off with Lydia.
Right, Lydia. A businesswoman, sold purple cloth. Quite successful, it seems.
She and her household, they become the first converts, the very start of the Philippian church.
Yeah.
So you've got Lydia's household. Then later, the source mentions the slave girl he heals.
Yes, which gets him and Silas thrown into prison.
But even there, something happens. Praising God, earthquake.
And the jailer converts, him and his whole family.
So that's the core group starting out. Lydia's family, the girl who was freed, the jailer's family. A small beginning.
Pretty diverse group, actually. And Paul wasn't physically in Philippi ministering for all that long before he had to leave.
A relatively short time, yeah.
But, and this is key from the source, this small group didn't just fade. They became really consistent, active supporters of his work.
Actively supporting him. And this is where that unique insight comes in years later.
Yeah, flash forward. Paul's under house arrest in Rome.
Facing challenges, maybe feeling isolated. The source even mentions some Roman believers causing trouble.
Right. Philippians 1 talks about some preaching out of envy, maybe trying to make his chains heavier. Not exactly helpful.
Not helpful at all. But in that tough moment,
the Philippians remembered him. They didn't forget.
Their trust, their support, it became tangible.
Absolutely. They gathered a generous offering and sent Epaphroditus all the way to Rome to be with him.
That's a serious commitment, demonstrating their love, their partnership across that huge distance.
And the source really makes a point that this relationship felt different. It wasn't like Corinth or Galatia.
Oh, yeah, where Paul constantly had to defend himself, his apostleship.
Exactly. The letter to the Philippians, it's just got this different tone. It's informal, warm, full of joy, thanksgiving.
You feel that genuine connection.
Oh.
And the source argues it's because they trusted him, they actively supported him right from the beginning.
Yes, and here's the core argument. That active trust, that support, it wasn't just, a nice gesture.
It was more.
It was a genuine source of strength for Paul himself. Their faith in him, their trust, them working with him.
Like fuel for him.
Kind of. The source suggests this dynamic empowered him, helped him persevere, maybe even helped him become, like the title says, truly Paul-like.
Able to endure and thrive even in horrible circumstances.
Exactly.
So it flips the script. It's not just Paul planting a church. It's the church's active faith and support building up Paul.
Yeah, the source really hammers home the power of actively trusting, uniting efforts in a community.
Compared to just, showing up passively. Or being negative when things get hard.
Right. It's about tackling challenges together. Active obedience, mutual support.
It really shows that reciprocal thing in spiritual communities. When members truly engage, trust, support, they don't just receive.
No, they energize, they vitalize and empower everyone, leaders included.
So wrapping this up,
Yeah.
what does it all mean? This deep dive, it really shows the incredible power of that active, trusting support within a community.
It wasn't just Paul's strength making the Philippian church. Their active faith, their support, it fed back into his strength.
Allowed him to be fully Paul-like, you could say. It's this idea of mutual trust, active support, creating a dynamic where everyone involved is empowered.
Everyone benefits, everyone grows stronger together.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you listening.
Mhm.
Considering this kind of reciprocal strength, this mutual empowerment, how might actively, really trusting and supporting the people around you, especially when times are tough?
Yeah, how might that fundamentally change the dynamic, the resilience?
Exactly. How might it change the communities you belong to? Something to think about.